Welcome back, friends. Today, Sarah and I are going to be talking about a critically important topic. Now, of course, we don't think we talk about anything other than critically important topics.
But this one's timely.
But this one is extremely timely. And it deals with homeschooling. Sarah is one of those ones, when I think of a homeschooler, she's just an epitome of that poster child, that icon of what a homeschooler should aspire to. Not necessarily in, oh, Sarah did this, but no, but the goals, the metrics, if you will, she is just premier. Why do we think this is so timely and important? Because I have had many a young mom and dad, to us they're young, to themselves they look pretty mature because they have children, and children are school age. And they have been shoved, in some cases, into making a decision about homeschooling this fall, given the current state and local government's decisions concerning their schools. Whether that school is public or private or charter, or even those homes, and even in some cases homeschooling hybrid scenarios, such as I'm thinking Regina Chaley, but there are others who find themselves in the pincer grip of what's in my mind draconian dictates. But that's an opinion that you can have a different one on. But the reality comes back to homeschooling is now front and center. And it is, these shows will start to be airing in August. And if you're in some of the southern states, school would normally be starting in about 3 weeks around where I live. Out east, I know it's after Labor Day. And so you might be in that position of what should I be doing? I'm 3 weeks. I have just been told, the schools are doing all manner of different things, and you really don't want that for your children. Are you behind the 8 ball? What should you be doing? So Sarah and I kind of want to unpack some ideas, some thoughts, tips and tricks, and give you a great deal of hope, of confidence, and that this is really an opportunity to do something beautiful for you and your children.
Do you want me to give a little bit of history about what I've done, perhaps?
Sure.
Okay. Well, as Karen said, I am a homeschooling mom. My oldest son is going to be 28 this coming September. So I've basically been kind of in the throes of homeschooling since he, technically turned 5, I guess, but really I consider early education counts as education. And so really I've been homeschooling since he was born. So I have about 28 years of home education experience. And if I lop onto that, all of my nieces and nephews who were born before my kids, I've basically been teaching kids since I was 6. So, but I, when I started 28 years ago, the movement was really still kind of in its infancy, but there were a lot of people who were homeschooling. And at that point, there were also a lot of people who had already thought out long and hard about the fact that they were going to do this. And I am more or less what I would consider to be an accidental homeschooler. So I just always thought when I started having kids that I was going to be the happy room mom who was going to bake the cupcakes and cut out the stars and do all of those things. And so I had no idea whatsoever that I would even consider homeschooling my kids. As a matter of fact, when I was in Wisconsin, I had never even heard that people homeschooled their kids. And I probably would have thought that if there were homeschoolers, they would have been kind of antisocial people who were kind of out on either of the political fringes, that this was probably not a very mainstreamed or mainstreamable type of education. I was educated myself both in parochial settings and in public school settings. So I had experience in both places like that. And I had a very good experience, mostly with my education. So I was not dissatisfied with what I had initially, because I had no parameters by which to judge it. And so consequently, when I started, God kind of threw me a curveball, because my oldest son, Andrew, was an interesting child, insofar as the fact that, later in life we realized that he's really kind of a bit of a musical prodigy. But when he was younger, he was very, I wouldn't call him shy, but very nonverbal. And now I can look back and say, oh, that's right, because music was actually Andrew's first language, and he speaks English kind of the way I speak French as a second language. So I'm never really perfect at it, but I can get myself understood, kind of thing, right? So when schools were just about to start, Fairfax County, the year that Andrew was going to start school, was mandating at that point mandatory K through 12 sex education programs. And so I wasn't really thrilled with that. And so I was content to put him into the private schools, into the Catholic school. But that very year, my Catholic school, the priest there decided to change from a half-day kindergarten to a whole-day kindergarten. And I thought, my son still took a nap in the afternoon, and so I didn't really see that as feasible for a 5-year-old to be in school all day long. I myself had gone to a half-day kindergarten, and that was something that I was comfortable with and something that I knew. And but at that point, my husband was in law school, and then he changed. He graduated, got his degree, and we left Northern Virginia and moved to Hampton Roads area in Virginia for about 18 months to 2 years. We didn't know exactly how long the position was going to last down there. And so I did not want to put Andrew into the school system there, because I knew that was not going to be a place that we were going to stay. And so what ended up happening with us was that Andrew became almost non-mainstreamable. He was very, very far ahead in music and in languages and in the reading arts, writing, penmanship, grammar, and he was delayed, as it were, in mathematics and sciences. And so when we moved back up to Northern Virginia, at that point, I became very closely connected to a large homeschool group, a large group of people that were at the parish and different places who were also homeschooling their kids. And so it became a natural choice to just continue doing what we were doing, and we figured that we would reassess that every single year. And I do think that that's one of the freedoms that homeschooling will provide everyone at this moment, is that no one is committed to this. If you do it for 1 year, you're not committed to doing it for every year, right? But we found in our own circumstances that form of education just seemed to fit well with our desired lifestyle. It gave me freedom to not only study from books, but to study at places. The museums that were there in Washington, D.C. became the places that we would go to study natural science. Rather than looking at dinosaur bones in a book, we would go to the National Museum of History. Rather than studying geology in a book, we would go to see the beautiful stones that they have at the Natural History Museum. If we wanted to study antiquities, we would go to I've forgotten what the name of the museum is, but it's actually one of our favorite ones. But the point is that you could suddenly start making use of your environment to really educate your kids in a way that was more than simply once a year field trips. And so, all of those things equaling together has basically kept me invested in this process and this type of education. And we've successfully seen 4 kids through high school into college, and now the son who's in the oldest grade right now, he's going to be a senior in high school, and I will have a second grader this year. So I'm still running the gamut of basically all the grades.
Excellent. All right. We will pick it up in the next episode. To the next time, Fides et Ratio.